Denver, drop. Yes.
Do you want your dog to drop a toy or even a household item the moment that you ask them to, instead of going off to play by themselves or even playing keep away with a dangerous item? Today, I'm going to show you how to teach your dog to drop an item anytime you ask without conflict. Hi, I'm Laura from Doggy U, and I'm a certified guide dog mobility instructor, service dog trainer, and trick trainer who's been training and placing service dogs for the last 15 years. So the method that I use to teach this concept might be slightly unconventional because a lot of people teach this with treats, but I like to actually teach it through toy play.
Out, catch, drop, catch.
This method has the benefit of teaching the dog to respond to the cue even in high arousal situations. So today I'm going to show you a 3-game progression that you can play with your dog to teach them to drop an item, starting with a toy and then transferring that skill to other items. The approach I use will also get your dog ready for sports like disc, where being able to drop an item where they are, wherever you're asking, is critical. The 2-toy game. This video is an example of the 2-toy game. This is a game I like to play to not only start teaching the puppy to drop something in their mouth, which is then rewarded by re-engagement with me and another toy, but also to teach them that the thing I'm playing with is the most important, best thing, and that playing with me is better than playing by themselves. This is a great foundation for your toy play skills, for discs, or even playing in the yard, and it's a fun way to introduce dropping something on cue without starting by trading for food. Note that with young puppies, we need to be incredibly careful of their necks. I'm not actually tugging at all here, I'm just providing resistance as the puppy chooses to tug. I'm avoiding jacking their neck around or back and forth or doing anything other than gently leading them around with the toy. The goal of the 2-toy game is to have them switch to whatever toy is active, or the one that I'm actively playing with. And I do that by making the toy in his mouth dead, or as little fun as possible, and the active toy as fun as possible. So the way that it works is you're going to have 2 identical toys, one in each hand, and it is important that they are identical so that the dog doesn't have a toy preference. You can keep one toy behind your back or just off to the side and then wiggle the active toy. Once the dog grips onto the active toy, you'll play for a few seconds and then the active toy will go dead, aka you'll stop making it fun to play with, and then immediately switch to making the toy in your other hand the active toy, the fun to play with toy. When the puppy lets go of the dead toy and grips the now active toy, you'll praise and continue to have a lot of fun with your puppy tugging that active toy. Then 5 to 10 seconds later, that toy will go dead and your other toy will become active and you'll have them switch to that other toy. Once the dog is reliably switching to the other toy when it becomes alive, I will add in the cue switch to whatever toy I have in the other hand. I use this particular verbal cue because I want it for a disc skill, but alternatively you could use the cue out and strike for them to out the one they have and strike the toy in the other hand, which will be consistent with our second game. What I love about introducing the behavior in this manner is that it involves no conflict. You're not forcing the dog to drop the item, they're choosing to drop the item to go to the more fun item, and then all you have to do is put that on cue. As a bonus, this game also teaches the puppy to track and bite a disc in the air without actually throwing the disc. And notice that when I do throw the disc with the little puppies, I'm throwing little rollers and not discs in the air. This also teaches them to track and bite a disc in motion at a level that's safe for puppies. A quick note on ending any of these games, I tend to end them in 2 ways. The first is to pick up a non-identical toy like a plushie and have your dog switch to that toy as their prize to take away and play with while you put away the identical toys. Or alternatively, you can do a cookie scatter. So you're gonna throw a handful or a sprinkle of kibble on the ground while you pick up the 2 identical toys and put them away. Both are ways to end the game without conflict. Now, before we move on to game 2, I would love it if you could head on down and boop that like button. Doing so positively reinforces me for making these videos and lets me know that you want more of them. The 1-toy game. This game is an extension of the 2-toy game. Because we've taught the dog that stillness means that the toy is now inactive or dead, we can use that stillness to get the same out with a single toy as the concept is still the same. I play with the dog, and then simply give the out cue and get still. As soon as he outs the toy, I cue him to take the toy again. Here you can see Denver outing the toy faster and faster as the game progresses because as soon as he outs it, he gets to strike it again. Once you've got the dog outing the toy on a verbal cue, you can then ask for another behavior like sit, down, heel, whatever you want, and then cue them to take the toy again. Now you not only have control over the dog outing the toy, but you can also use that toy as a functional reinforcer for obedience behaviors. Dropping at a distance.
Good girl, bring it. Drop, go. Good.
Now we can use that same stillness cue to signal the dog to drop the toy at a distance. I'm using a couple of discs to practice this, but you can use whatever 2 toys your dog enjoys. So here my stillness cue changes slightly in that I'm just going to keep my body still and hold up the second toy, in this case, the disc. As soon as the dog drops the disc in their mouth, I'm going to toss them this second disc as the reward. Once they're at the point where I can get them to drop the disc by raising my second disc, I can now start adding that verbal cue by saying out or drop, and then raising my disc until I don't need to raise the disc for him to drop it anymore, and he's just doing it on the verbal cue. Once I'm able to get him to drop toys at a distance, now I can start practicing with other items. This is where I'll likely transition my reward system to food, so either food to the mouth or even tossed or rolled food, so the dog gets reinforced by getting to chase something down like we've been doing with the toy, but now it's just food. Over time, I can mix up my reinforcers from toys to food to personal play to praise, whatever my goals are with my dog. Now, if you want to see more videos of me training my service dog in training, John Denver, head on over to my Patreon at patreon.com/doggyu, where you can join for as little as $4 and get access to over 200 exclusive videos over on Patreon. I'd love to see you at one of our live Q&As. All right, y'all, if you liked this video, you're gonna love this one too. You all have an awesome day and happy training.